We have been in existence accepting students since 2017. So we are starting our 6th year of being a separate institution, a separate school, and then college. So we are thrilled. And all of that time, and even before that, we've been working with DOMI Station. So we couldn't be happier to have all of you here. I also want to, before I introduce Robert, is to invite you to stay for lunch that the Jim Moran College is hosting after the presentations today. But without further ado, I'm very honored and pleased to introduce Robert Blackledge, who is the lead organizer for Tallahassee Startup Week. Thank you, Robert, for all your hard work, and the executive director of DOMI Station. So without further ado, let's go ahead and welcome Robert. Thank you.
Test one. Welcome to Startup Week Tallahassee 2022. Who is excited for an incredible event this year? Woo! So this really only happens when the community comes together. It is really a ton of work. We started working on this year's event about 6 months ago. So you will hopefully see, and I know you will, an incredible event across the entire week from the industries that are represented here in our community. It could not happen if it wasn't for our sponsors, our community, and all of those who come together to make this an incredible event. This event isn't about this week. It's about all of the connections, the collaborations, the organic connections that happen and the relationships that come out of it, that spur from this event, that start up new things in our community by creating those collisions across the week. So as you look to the calendar of events, look at things that may just be on the peripheral of what you want to do in this ecosystem. Look for things where you might find others that are interested in things that you do. This event is about finding and connecting with those in our community. It highlights all of the things in our ecosystem across the board, and we hope to continue this momentum into the future throughout 2023. So without further ado, I'm going to invite our panel up. I thank all of our community members who made this happen, and I'm looking forward to an incredible event for this week and throughout the next year. With that, without further ado, if I could have my panelists come up. We have Eddie Luminos. Just please come up. Keith Bowers, Susan Fiorito. Oh, nope, sorry. Dana Dudley, Katrina Tuggerson, joining us up for a panel here, and they'll introduce themselves.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Keith Bowers. I am the director for the Office of Economic Vitality here in Tallahassee, Leon County. And we've got a really great panel discussion for you today. We've got representation from all three chambers, and we'll start with introductions. And if you would, just give us your name, the chamber that you represent, and a little bit of background, please. So we'll start with Katrina Tuggerson.
Thank you, Keith. I'd like to welcome everybody to Startup Week 2022. My name is Katrina Tuggerson, and I'm with Capital City Chamber of Commerce, the president.
Good morning. I'm representing the Big Bend Minority Chamber of Commerce here. We cover a 5-county geographical region, Leon, Gadsden, Jefferson, Wakulla, and Franklin. My name is Dana Dudley, and I serve as the executive director for the chamber. Thank you for having us today.
And my name is Eddie Gonzalez Lumiere. I'm the CEO of Ruvos, and I'm wearing my Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce hat, where I am the in charge of the committee focused on talent, education, and retention.
All right, let's give them all a round of applause. Thank you for taking time out of your schedules today to come share some information with us. So let's get it kicked off. And first question I'd like to ask, and Eddie, you can start it off, and then we'll work our way back down. But why are events like Startup Week so important to our business community?
So I think, and thank you, Keith, and I want to recognize the DOMI team and everyone who's come together to organize this. I had the privilege of being involved, working with Robert Dacia and others, and Julia on the work, and they've put a lot of work into this. And I think the weather's a testament that this is going to be a good, or a sign that this is going to be a really good week. And so for, events like this, we always ask ourselves, is it a success when there are some empty chairs? And for me, it's still a success, right? We're creating opportunities where people can come together. Sometimes people that often compete with each other in the technology space, in the entrepreneurial space, they're kind of putting that competition aside and saying, you know what, let's get together and share our story. When I look at the 40 plus events this week, there's some amazing speakers. I mean, from different industries and topics that I would never even know are here in the community. And I think we also have some folks outside of the community. I know we have several announcements related to startups, some new companies that are being formed and being announced this week, which is huge. One of the things, and then I'll turn it over, one of the things that we often fail to do, I think, as a community, is share our story, right? So you're working hard on one project, and then you go to the next one, and then you go to the next one. You don't really pause and let people know that a 223 or an Event Owl, for example, or Ruvos has done some amazing things. And so opportunities like this allow us a platform to share the great news within our community of amazing things that are happening here in our town. And then naturally you bring all those stories together, and guess what? Eventually folks across the state are going to find out about Tallahassee. Eventually folks across the nation are going to find out opportunities here that are happening in Tallahassee. So I'm excited for this week.
All right, thanks, Eddie. Dana?
Well, I think you said it all. Collaboration is key. One thing that stood out to me in thinking about this week is it's all about your connections. And you can have great ideas, but if it's just all inside of your head and you're not sharing, if you're not connecting, you may be missing out on great opportunities. And so as entrepreneurs, as those that have taken the time to dive into and research an issue, a matter, figuring out the answer to a problem, or if you have the product that somebody needs, they're not going to know it unless you open your mouth and talk, right? So it's all about communication. And I think that's one thing that we have to just continue is connecting in events like this, but also sharing our story and make it personal.
All right, thanks, Dana. Katrina?
My other two colleagues has just about summed it up and said everything. The one thing that I would add to what's going to benefit about this week, and my colleague mentioned about the empty chairs. So what I've learned working in the community and collaborating with the other two chambers, everyone is different pockets of people. It's different pockets of fields, and IT and technical people don't necessarily come to one room and just sit and listen to a conference. They hear it from different streams and ways. So we have cameras in here, we have iPhones in here, and somebody may be tuning in, from digital. So it's not, this week, it's not just about being in one particular space. It's given Tallahassee the opportunity to reach farther than even Leon County. So I think we are all here looking at it from different perspectives. And I get that a lot from these young people. The young people are not going to come to this beautiful building. They're not going to do it. But how do we reach them from what we're doing? I think Robert and his team is doing an excellent job at that. They're reaching it where they are. They are up all night. I'm past that. I go to sleep at 9. But at the same time, how do we reach them? And I think through this week and through the 40 different events that are going on, we will be able to do just that.
All right, great. Thank you. So, what resources do your chambers offer to entrepreneurs and small businesses? And we'll kick it off with Katrina.
I knew he was looking at me. Because of it all turned around when COVID hit. We all as chambers started saying, how can we get it right together? How can we work better? Be more collaborative with what we're doing, put some of our resources together so that we're able to strategically serve the community as we have the resources out here for. And so what we harnessed on was different things. The Big Bend Minority Chamber. They've been more of a voice for advocacy. The Greater Tallahassee Chamber has been there filling in the gaps with the Title I schools, and also the Big Bend Minority Chamber has. Capital City Chamber, even all three of the chambers have technical assistance there that we offer, Keith. So I think the resources that we provided, and the key component, and that everybody kept saying, and Robert, the CEO Adomi, kept saying, hey, I'm over here. And the reason why he kept saying that is because he draw attention to our collegiate students. And so it's different. Like I said, I keep saying it's different. All of us represent a different pocket of people, and people gravitate to who they feel comfortable doing business with.
Okay.
Did
Dana.
I answer that?
Yeah. Dana, same question. What about the Big Bend Minority Chamber?
So collaboration with not only our partners and other local chambers here, but also our corporate sponsors. We had the opportunity during COVID, just to kind of take it back a couple years, and offer grants to several of the businesses in the geographical region. And we were able to partner with Walmart, who's one of our corporate sponsors, and offer local grants to be able to help sustain those businesses during that time of uncertainty. So being able to tap into the resources that come from those corporate partnerships, in addition to making sure that the dollars that our members and our corporate sponsors are providing, that we're reinvesting in the areas of the community that need it most. And Katrina mentioned it, our work with Title I schools. So not only are we being able to make an impact to our members with grants and funding opportunities like the BBIC, Black Business Investment Corporation, we're providing loans to some of our members if they meet certain criteria. So there's benefits to membership, right? So not only to our members, but then also to turn around and being able to give back to those in the community that we serve. Parents and families in Title I schools, we're able to do that through different fundraising mechanisms, golf tournaments, and just collaboration. Technical assistance. We've offered workshops throughout the last couple of years and ongoing, and try to meet people where they are, whether it be via Zoom or in person, because what we found out is that, just as you know, and starting up, you're just as unique as the person sitting next to you, and your needs are different than someone else's, but actually you probably all have an overarching greater need that can fit into a seminar, a budget seminar, a marketing seminar. Like, everyone needs that to make sure that your business is successful.
So that was excellent from both my colleagues. So Ruvos, our company, has been a member of the Chamber, Greater Chamber of Commerce, for about 10 years. I got heavily involved probably 4 years ago, and I don't think there's anyone here in the room from leadership, but I used to find it very boring. I love lawyers. My dad's a lawyer. Realtors, bankers, et cetera. But my job over the last 4 years was to spice it up a little bit, right? Here comes a loud Cuban minority spicing it up a little bit and emphasizing on entrepreneurship, on technology. And guess what? The chamber is adjusting. So I'll talk about 3 programs. Number 1, we have a program called Talent Pipeline Management, or TPM. It is a proven program from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Florida, or the one here in Tallahassee, is considered one of the leaders of this program nationwide. We get together a healthcare cohort and a technology cohort, and there are folks in the audience that are part of both. The healthcare cohort focuses on what are the jobs that we need here in this community. There is a campaign that I'm sure you've seen in the billboards that identified that we need over 2,000 healthcare jobs in our community. Think about that. 2,000 jobs. So that cohort was able to figure that out. The technology cohort, not as advanced as the healthcare one, is getting together, once again, putting competition aside and saying, okay, what are the types of jobs that we need today, and what are the types of jobs that we need in the future? Now, out of the technology cohort, 2 different groups kind of were born. The first one that was born by Lester Hutt and Brian Gibson was NAT 20, Nerds Around Tallahassee 20, which is a great group focused on the social aspect of techies, right? Not all techies want to come to seminars, but techies often, nerds, quote unquote, like to go and talk about Dungeons and Dragons, or want to go have beer and talk about, the latest gadgets. And so that group kind of was formed out of this cohort, and they are actually celebrating their first year anniversary, which is amazing. And they've had events all around the community. Once again, Lester Hutt and Brian Gibson are doing a great job. The second initiative that was born out of this talent pipeline management group is Launch Tally. One of the things that we realized was, as we're trying to gather data around the companies in our community, is that we really didn't have a solid database of the tech companies in our community. OEV has a website with a list, the chambers have websites with lists, but there really wasn't a one-stop shop where I can tell President McCullough, when he says we don't have a technology ecosystem, I can disagree with him and then give him a piece of paper or a link that says, sir, here are all the technology companies in our community. And that's a true story, by the way. And he loved that he has that information at his fingertips. If someone out of Estonia, true story, or someone out of Chicago, true story, is thinking about moving to Tallahassee, and they say, hey, OEV, like Kevin, for example, who works with Keith, tell us a little bit about your ecosystem. We've heard about Taltech and Domi and all these different organizations. Can I speak to someone about someone who has kind of like a map of the ecosystem? And so we're able to point them to this website. And then lastly, related to Launch Tally, which is more of a movement, we are working, and Dustin, who's here today, we are working on bringing a rocket to town, right? Because we feel, especially for the younger folks, even my kids, 12 and 8 years old, we feel that if we have some sort of symbol, and it can be a block away or it could be by the airport, that emphasizes that, by the way, technology is here in Tallahassee. I like to remind people that we're sitting in the capital of the 15th largest economy on the planet. Think about that. Over the next 2 years, there's going to be more media here, whether we like it or not. Let's take advantage and capitalize on that and let people know that Tallahassee's vibrant, that there are organizations like Domi and this wonderful building, and let people not only know in our community, but also nationwide that Tallahassee's flourishing, and we're just hitting our stride.
All right, great answers. What resources, where do individuals go from here, from this startup week, to connect with your chambers and the resources that you have available?
Keith, I'll start off. I have something that I would like to add to what my colleague was saying about the different programming. So I think all of us, by being a little bit more intentional and putting our hands on where our strength is in our chambers, have recognized different little organizations and initiatives have started. Go right along with where we are now, Keith. And after this day, the Capital City Chamber of Commerce, we started what we call Bank On. So all this tech stuff go on, and it's funding that's needed in order to make this happen. So with the funding that's needed, we had the opportunity to call all of the bank presidents together, and we sit down and we talk about strategic ways for you, a small solo company yourself, can go in and get 500 to all the way to 10,000 or more that you need, 250,000 on up. So each financial institution is different. And so after you sit there, where you may need the job, you may have this great idea, but it all comes down to, do you have the resources and funding to do it? And so I think that's we also had the opportunity to launch a website that shows you how all the connective pieces can go together as well.
Okay, great. Dana?
One opportunity that we're able to provide to our members, and specific to resources, as you mentioned, Keith, is the small business loans, small business funding. And through a couple of our corporate partners, we've been able to produce an avenue, a gateway to where we'll assist members with the application process and all the way holding their hand through the funding process. Those resources can be found on our website, mybybbmc.org. In addition to helping our members fill out forms to become minority certified vendors. We're providing avenues, we're walking them through the process. A lot of our members are just out there hustling, trying to make sure their businesses run correctly, and they're missing out on opportunities that often come available, like they did in a pandemic, where minority vendors were given kind of a heads up or an extra hand whenever it came to opportunities that were available, but because their back systems weren't in place, tax returns weren't done, or certifications weren't up, they kind of missed out on some opportunities. So simply by reaching out to us, connecting, we make sure that we will hold their hand through those process, but also give them an extension, an advantage on applying for other funds that are available, because we are a chamber that wants to look out for our members. And all those can be found on our website.
Oh, excellent. Eddie?
And so I'll mention two websites. I mentioned already launchtally.com, where you're going to have an online yellow pages of all the tech companies in our community, for the most part, events and things of that nature. We're kind of a consolidator or a clearinghouse. That's one website I recommend folks going to. The other one is Talent Hub. Talent Hub is a work in progress in partnership with different organizations in our community, but it has a listing of job openings. I was browsing in there last week and I was shocked how many jobs are available, but it also has a listing of the people that are looking for jobs. So it's a wonderful resource that I believe is underutilized, but I think it's a powerful tool. It's been proven to help across the nation. And I think if we, it's one of the websites I recommend people bookmarking, and you may already, have a job or aren't hiring at the moment, but it's always good to look and see what the landscape looks like. Yes, I think there's a question. It should be talenthub.com. Talent Hub. Yep, Talent Hub. But it's also good to go there, even if you're not looking for a job or you're not hiring at the moment, to just get a feel for what the economy is looking like. And you'll see over 2,000 healthcare jobs available here in our community. And we're getting more data around technology. So those are two websites that I recommend people bookmarking and checking it out every few weeks.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, next question, we'll start with Eddie. Where do you see the Tallahassee business ecosystem going from this point?
So I see a combination of things. I think we sometimes, even in particular with DOMI, we focus on companies, right? And I've told this to Robert and Lucas and Micah and others in the past. I think DOMI and Bill as well. DOMI, there are some amazing success stories of companies doing really well out of the DOMI programs, which we're very grateful to have in the community. But I also think there are amazing people that may not have a company that have gone through the programs and are great candidates for a business that's been around for 10, 15 years. And I think that's important to remember that. In the case of Ruvos, for example, we have, I think it's like 6 individuals who at one point were associated with DOMI. Now, Ruvos, our company, is not a startup, but thanks to them going through the DOMI programs and being exposed to potentially starting a startup that may have not ended the way they wanted, they were more prepared for the workforce, and they were more prepared to be able to add additional to value. So I think that's an important point that we should consider.
Okay, Dana, same question.
Yeah, so I agree with you, most definitely. I think we're going into a next phase in the business ecosystem here in Leon County, Tallahassee, where you're going to see folks coming together and collaborating more because they're not afraid. Generations ago, maybe they were looking out to create that generational wealth or to create an empire or a business for themselves or to hand on down to their family. And I think we're walking into a next phase where we're seeing startups, we're seeing business owners, we're seeing people that have left a career that maybe didn't work, or maybe that they wanted to change after COVID and they're used to working in a hybrid environment. They're used to moving around, living where they want to, working out of their homes, to where you're going to see more collaboration. And so I think it's a positive for the business system here in Tallahassee, because you'll see more people coming together, creating a greater product and a greater service than so many businesses competing against each other and maybe struggling and failing.
Okay, excellent. Trina?
Well, I think our ecosystem is changing, and it has changed in starting with yourself. You were over SBDC for years, and now you're over OEV, going to bring us a whole different perspective. I think the community is demanding for us to change. This is what is going on today. So I think it's changing for the better. I think the community in different pockets is listening to what the business community want, as far as also the individuals, like you mentioned. So I think it's changing for the better, but at the same time, it's strengthening.
Excellent.
Keith, I have one more comment.
Sure.
That I just thought of. I love magnets, and obviously the magnet capital of the world. I get it. I know there's some big announcements coming down the pipeline related to magnets. However, there's more than magnets in our community.
It is.
Right. And I think, and I have faith in Keith and the team in terms of branding. We have a lot of data, for example, right? Why can't we be the data capital of the world? And there may be other industries as well, right? We have VR systems, voting information, diverse computing, federal crime information, RUVOS, healthcare information. We've got different groups they're sitting on oil, they're sitting on data. You have the state of Florida that has a ton of data, and the current CIO, Jamie Grant, is trying to figure out what to do with that data, and I have trust he will find a way. But I think I think the magnet initiatives are amazing. There's a tremendous amount of potential, but I also know there's other clusters of centers of excellence in our community, and we should be willing to bring them in, promote them, share their story.
I totally agree.
And so, and oftentimes they don't know how to do that per se. When we launched Tally, I had a gentleman email me, and some of you heard this story. I'm sorry for repeating myself. And this gentleman said, Eddie, I think I'm a technology company. I said, sir, thank you for reaching out. What do you do? He says, well, I created a software for funeral homes. I said, absolutely, it's a technology company. And I said, so how are you doing? He says, I'm selling it to states across the nation. And I said, you're here in Tallahassee? He said, yes, I am. I said, I bet you no one really knows what you're doing. And I'm sure there's more stories like that. So I think we have to be willing to listen to these folks that, as we sit here today, are in their garage doing amazing things for, an international company or a company out of California that are sitting here today or sitting in our community that we just don't know about. So I think we have to have that willingness to listen and hear and see what else is out there.
And just add to that, in which I'm so sorry, I kind of pivot the whole conversation. The ecosystem, I agree, is changing, but it's an exciting change. The reason, even the software where you said about the funeral home, I have this young lady that all of the hairstylists in the state of Florida, she created this software for that, for the hairstyles. And I think I was with Brian Wyatt at a conference, and she came, and then she created this technology card for me that I try to lose every other day. But at the same time, it's so many different, even our students that are coming out of FSU, that are coming out of FAMU. We had the opportunity to do in FAMU Homecoming Week. Some of my members, they were with Mike Makeup, they were with Nike, they were with Red Bull. These companies all have tech people that are representation, and these young people have opened me up to a whole new vision. We even have a young man that's coming out of Capital City Chamber. He can't, I don't remember nothing this young man said, but he said, I told him, and I said, yes, I did. Because you want to know why he said I told him? Whatever I told him, it worked, because JCPenney took his artist design and it's going on the shirt. Even though our JCPenney here is not up and thriving like the ones in the other communities, but it's still here. They're still giving him an opportunity, and it's going national. So I'm excited about the way Tallahassee is going with the technical piece and our ecosystem for our businesses.
I just wanted to say, it's bigger than us, right? Like, it's bigger than my company. It's bigger than our chamber. It's our Tallahassee and our Leon County, our environment. And so when we can kind of get out of ourselves for a second and think about, okay, what do we want to be said about us 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Do we want just to be the magnet capital, or do we want to be able to provide, a lot of things to a lot of different people. And so the collaboration, the communication, the urging on, the pouring into, the sharing of knowledge, the sharing of wisdom, the supporting. We can talk a good game, but if you're not supporting our entrepreneurs and our startups and visiting them wherever they're in the marketplace or under tents or food trucks or wherever, if we can talk, but if we're not supporting them and helping them to sustain, then we're just a lot of lip service. But that collaboration and allowing them to come into the fold, and let's do this together.
All right, excellent. Do we have any questions from the audience at this point? We got one here in the back. Okay, well,
That's you, Keith.
I'll take that question. Well, OEV is it's called the Office of Economic Vitality, and it is a joint department. It's a combination of the city of Tallahassee, Leon County, and the Blueprint Intergovernmental Agency. And our job is to basically market Tallahassee, not only market Tallahassee to companies that are thinking about moving to Tallahassee and individuals that are thinking about moving to Tallahassee to start businesses, but we also have some incentive programs to attract different companies, such as Amazon, such as Danfoss Turbocore. But just as important as finding those large companies, we are doubling down on our investment in the resources that we're providing for local companies here in this market that are trying to grow, companies that have been here that maybe have 5 to 10 employees, but they're looking to expand. We want to provide resources by way of market analysis and market data and all the analytical tools and data that Eddie spoke about. But we also want to help them find people and organizations that could assist them. So, we have working relationships with all 3 chambers, the FAMU Small Business Development Center, a network of financial institutions, because we want to make sure that those businesses thrive. 99% of the jobs that are created in our community are created by small businesses. So it just makes sense for us, OEV, to really double down on our investment in time, money, and resources into our existing business community. So Startup Week is something that's near and dear to our heart because we feel that Tallahassee is a great place, not only to raise a family, but also to raise a business. Any other questions from the audience? Yes, sir.
I'm sort of starting out. I'm retired, but I want to do something. And on my own, I have no business background, so I'm starting from ground zero. Our level. But after this week, if someone like me who just doesn't have any business background, then what would be the number one place to go to start out with? It's almost like too much, all these different choices I have. Someone like me, who's really just starting out in business. What would be the places? Only is it chamber or
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna find that out this week, but he's already started at Domi. So by you attending these events and just like Dustin said, you'll find that out this week. And you, unless you have an idea on what you would like to have a business on or even invest in something on or a passion that you have, and that's kind of what you'll gravitate to as a human.
Well, I mean, I have pretty much confidence in this week. I would do that, but I'm able to do this. If this wasn't happening, now with someone from out just where would I go if this week wasn't happening? That gets my question.
So,
Well, what happens is people try, people that just finding out information without spending a lot of money and dollars to do that. All of us are available for questions, of course, but then sometime you want to go into Domi or JMI just to find out what and fish around in the OEV office. So if I was you, I would look at OEV, Domi, and of course the free resources that the universities offer or something like that. And then as you build, I will connect to different memberships and stuff. You don't want to start off with just paying for memberships that you don't know how you're going to utilize it yet. I'm going to just be honest.
I think Bill had a comment.
yeah, we'll go to Bill.
I would
And we had one question back here. Well, CRA is still part of our community. It stands for Community Reinvestment Area, and they are still part of it. But it's a delineated area. So your business has to be located in those areas, and it's Frenchtown, South Side, and then the Downtown Improvement Authority has their own delineation as well. I think Robert wants to take this one.
Well, the area that she's speaking of is not in the CRA district.
Right.
So that
to be
is, not-
zoned for.
yeah, it's not even,
No. Part of the Department of Place or Blueprint is the entity that handles all infrastructure as it relates to gateways, sidewalks, entrances. So that is part of Blueprint's plan to work on the North Monroe corridor. Yeah. Well, there's a study that's taking place now as to how we should attack revitalizing that corridor because it's come up in several conversations. Yeah.
I think another area, and hopefully someone's recording this, another area that in the next 10 years, we're going to see a significant amount of development, and Dustin is helping me with working together with me, is the airport. When you look at studies around businesses around airports, we can sit here and, complain about, lack of flight schedules and prices and things like that. But there's an amazing opportunity to have, for example, tech businesses near the airport, and then other businesses to support, buildings of people. And so I'm confident that the airport is going to be a place where innovation is going to happen, in addition to Innovation Park, where there's going to be business parks, hotels, conference centers, schools. I'm confident that that's going to happen, which in turn I think will, attract, as President McCullough said, attract a Boeing or a Lockheed to set up shop nearby, right? He saw that at Harvard and at Carnegie Mellon. But I am confident, I know Dustin is and others in this room, that the airport is going to be different over the next few years.
Any other questions?
Can you repeat the question?
What?
So I think each area of the county, as we're working, you started talking about the Frenchtown area. We have Railroad Square, we have that arts district, we have the students that are here, we have families in every pocket. We've got Orange Avenue apartments that are being revitalized and redeveloped. I think it's going to be important if we are intentional in attacking the employment, underemployment, unemployment, if we're intentional in addressing the transportation needs, if we're intentional in meeting people where they are, that community is going to be, it's going to have to be developed in the area where people are living, but also providing them resources to get to those jobs, providing them resources to get to the airport if the businesses are going to be on that side. And so community is going to come where the jobs are, where the attention is given to growth and development and that care. You see it in some of the CRA's work in the Frenchtown Improvement Authority. When a group of people come together and citizens are concerned about where they live, then it's going to show not only in the community they live, but in the areas that they're working in.
Well, I think community comes and is strengthened when the community offers an experience. People gravitate to where they can be happy, where they're going to feel good going. And so community comes when experiences come. Once a person experiences, we're seeing this every day. We're on social media. They experience a good time at this particular business. They experience a good time at this particular area in our community. Next thing you know, it's the popping thing of Tallahassee. So one thing that came out was the snake for skateboarding. Y'all know I can't skateboard, but I wanted to try. So I think by us creating different experiences around in the community, when he put that rocket out there, you can't tell them little kids, everybody, they can't fly. You might as well go in and connect with the Challenger Center, get them little play rockets and put in there and let everybody fly. So community comes with great experiences. As parents, as people or leaders, as we offer great experience to the young people, people will pay. And that's what draw tourism and everything to our community is our experiences that we create as for our community in whole and for our businesses.
But I see communities in Southwood, they do phenomenal job 4th of July, Halloween, there's people are always out and about in Railroad Square. I live out East Frederick, so just past Costco, and there's quite a few developments as well. And in KCI just did an excellent job, books. They're
Yeah,
so cool.
that's right.
And you can go to the library and rent and chill in the park with your friends, and there's always things happening in the park, and all of the families from the neighborhood came around, and exactly like you said, there's things that are happening. Bannerman, they have the dance uptown get
Right.
down. One of the things I'd like to see was Midtown. I moved here, Midtown is popping, and it was very, very difficult for there's still some amazing business there. So I would just encourage go to the parks, and a food truck that would happen there. We just need to up every
Right.
area of our live in.
And I love how you said community. One of the things, I rather be here with all of you than read all the campaign stuff I used to get in the mail. Because what we learned over the last 3-4 weeks is the divisiveness, right? This community against this community. That's all BS. At the end of the day, we need to use business, entrepreneurial skills, opportunities, technology to bring us together as one community, right? As one community. And I think with folks like here in this room and the folks that we're going to listen to over the next 4 or 5 days, those are people that really care and that want to help with some of the challenges we have in our community. Yeah.
I've never seen the like I have in Tallahassee. You know, that they would come out and engage for profit or charity events or things like that. It's incredible. And the people are the ones behind the startup. The people are the ones behind the business.
It's with the people.
And you know, sometimes our execution can be better, but the heart is phenomenal. That's really impressive.
In the past, the three of us would not be on this at the same pad on the same
Yeah.
table.
Well, great job, guys.
So
Well, let's give them all a hand. Thank you, guys.
I'd like to say thank you to all of you for a long time. Grew up, been member of change, but was member of 30 years. Talk about the avenue. So I committing to do something about it and making that it is our because we've heard so much divisiveness, people blaming one of you for making the effort to make this
Well, thank you, everyone. I could not be more excited for this week. I think you all can start to feel the energy. This is just the beginning. Our panelists, our speakers, our community are coming together this week to connect, to support us, to be a part of the solution and executing on all these incredible ideas and connections we'll build during the week. Thank you to our panelists. Could not be more thankful for everyone who is contributing their time this week. It is a community event. If you'd like to get involved, feel free to check out domistation.org/TLH Startup Week. Domi Station has been gracious enough, I told them to offer their website to host that. So that is a great place to find information on sponsorships, on volunteering, about how to get involved in your community. Again, this is all volunteer driven, so please be gracious with those who are supporting us this week. Thank you. And with that, we'll invite you to have some food if you're here with us in person.